God, I hate reviewing Bullet for My Valentine because I'm so fed up with them by now. So Bullet for My Valentine, when they released their first album, it was a major success. Now that is quite a feat for a band. Usually when a band starts, they're brand new. They haven't got a fan base. They've got nothing really to go off of. They just put it out there and then it has to go by word of mouth. It usually takes years until a band becomes well known. But for Bullet for My Valentine, their first album being the huge success, and then having a song on that album that is going to go down in probably metal history with the track Tears Don't Fall, which is well known in the metal community. It is quite a feat. And then with the next album, Scream Aim Fire, which some fans believe the first album, The Poison, was better, and some people say actually Scream Aim Fire was better, but overall it was still massively well received, Scream Aim and Fire, with some amazingly standout tracks and some again that will go down in history like Awakened Demon. Changing up the entire vibe from The Poison, being less screaming, more singing, and great guitar solos. The band, Matt Tuck and Paige, were in guitar magazines, winning awards, doing lessons on how they do their riffs and everything and their solos. They were immediately famous with 2 successful albums. They only had 2 albums, both successful. They had no flops, no failures. Their guitar skill was mentioned. Songwriting with classic songs that are classics even till today. Since then, it's like a whole different band for Bullet. Bullet for My Valentine's third album, Fever, released, and although it's not an incredibly woeful, absolutely crap album, it was the start of a decline in nature. It was still technically Bullet for My Valentine. It had solos, it had some amount of screams, but still mostly singing, just like Scream Aim and Fire. The only difference is while Scream Aim and Fire had bigger kind of songs and everything, and more to it, and a unique kind of vibe to it, what Fever had was not really any of that. Fever was a mainstream metal album. It didn't have anything fancy, anything unique about it. It was just Bullet for My Valentine playing mainstream metal songs, and then there would be some solos in there, but not as good as what came previously because they're going more mainstream. So that was the third album. The fourth album, Temper Temper, again the band does change from album to album, so they never do kind of stay the same. But Temper Temper went from mainstream metal to mainstream hard rock. So that was kind of weird. The music became very lazy, the songwriting became terrible. It just overall wasn't really that good. And it was panned by critics and fans alike. This then takes us to their fifth album, Bullet for My Valentine, being panned. They lost a lot of fans and fame. So then they came out with the fifth album, Venom. Now they tried to go heavy with this, and to an extent, critics and fans did like it, thinking it was a return to the roots. And back in the day when I was very young and naive, even I thought so. But now, having a bit of brain between my ears, I come to realise that Venom is a very well-covered mainstream album again. There is nothing special about it, it's just they do tricks in order to pass it as something which it isn't. People wanted it to be heavier, so they start screaming. Outside of that, is it really any different from Temper Temper? Temper Temper is a mainstream hard rock. Fever was mainstream metal, but there was no screaming. So for Venom, you had screaming on the first track, but everything else about it was mainstream. And then the rest of the tracks, while they had a fast tempo to them, some people thought, oh, it's technical, it's fast. So what? And outside of that, there is again nothing. This song structure is very simplistic, of just having your intro, verse, chorus, verse, chorus. You may have a solo because they're just not really bothering these days with them anymore. So that's gotten left behind. So while Venom may have had a fast pace and may have involved more screams to a certain extent, the songwriting, the lyrics, everything remains kind of crap, even the solos. Then we get Gravity, where because Venom was better received, the band wanted to go more into what they kind of want, because they don't seem to want to be heavy these days. With obviously Temper Temper, but that got panned, and then they made Venom to, rebuild from that. But then that was all received, so then they're going to go off and do Gravity, which is a mainstream pop rock album with 0 bloody solos. It was absolutely crap. Some fans appreciate it, but some fans will just appreciate anything because they'll just follow blindly. This was a terrible album. The songwriting is crap. There is nothing to it. There is no solos, no talent. And the more Matt speaks about the band and what he's doing, the more stupid they sound. When it came to Temper Temper, Matt was saying, oh, there was another band I was in, Axe Wound or something, which failed epically because it was shit. And then he said, oh, well, that album was great because we went into the studio and we just did whatever. We just do a riff. Oh, okay, don't think about it, just do it. And then, oh, let's think of some vocals. That's it, so let's just put that on the top of it. Let's not question it. So we did that with Temper Temper and we wrote it in something like 2 weeks. It was ridiculous. They didn't think about it at all. And then later it came out with that Matt is not thinking or putting any effort into the album because he wants it to be raw or something. Apparently the entire band are not actually contributing to Bullet for My Valentine. You get Matt, who is doing everything. He does the guitars, the drum, the bass, the writing, the vocals. It is just him. Everyone's else talent, because Matt isn't a drummer. I guess he can play drums, but he is not a drummer. So a drummer could do more, but they don't, because he removes them. Page may be a better guitarist than Matt, but he's not doing any of it, because it's only Matt doing it. The rest of the band are being fucking lazy, or Matt is a control freak. And a really bad one, because he is a nightmare for Bullet for My Valentine, because they have sucked completely since Scream, Aim and Fire days. And talking about going heavier, like with Temper Temper, it's like, oh well, I'm grown up now and I got a family, so trying to be about, I hate life and I hate my mummy too. My mummy didn't give me sweeties when I was younger and I'm angry at the world. It's like, you dipshit, like, metal isn't about just being angry and yelling at everyone and like life really sucks and politics, grr. Metal is just about phenomenal songwriting, amazing musicianship, and lyrics that are very, very deep and meaningful. They don't have to be bloody I love songs or just yelling for the sake of being angry. That is incredibly childish, naive and stupid, and it clearly shows Matt is a complete moron. Every time he tries to do something he really wants with Temper Temper, that idea of songwriting failed. Gravity, what he wanted to do, and is purely him, what happened? Failed. His way of songwriting is now being deemed as incredibly cringy and incredibly shit. And guess what he thinks of it? You have to be angry to be metal. Bollocks, do you? And then love songs, he adores them. Good for you. So now we get the self-titled album, Bullet for My Valentine. Self-titled. This usually means that this is the band coming into their own. They have found themselves. This is the big one. This is the staple. And following Gravity, again, what do you have to do? Oh, I have to repair it, just like Venom had to repair things. So they try and go back to their roots. They try and fix things. Like, oh my god, we're not pop or anything. We're still metal and hardcore. And to an extent, this album does kind of pull the wool over many people's eyes by the way they've approached this, because it is incredibly screamo orientated. And that's the thing with the fans of Bullet. They are so stupid. Like, oh, Bullet for My Valentine is only good when they scream. What the hell is Scream, Aim, Fire? The majority of that is sung to the same level of that as Fever and Temper Temper. But Scream, Aim and Fire was successful in Temper Temper, and Fever and Venom weren't as successful as Scream, Aim, Fire, but had the exact same amount of screaming plus singing in it. Scream, Aim, Fire did well because it had good songwriting, you complete shitheads. It's because you don't have the brains to piece that together. It's just, I'll just go down the microphone and that's good enough. And that is what leads to this album being shit and being really dumb, and just Matt being able to do the bare bone basic in order to absolutely just shit all over the fan base and make them think that they are doing good enough. You get the first track, Parasite, and oh my god is it heavy. Oh my god it's heavy because Matt just screams his head off, and outside of that not much to it. Now truthfully, the introduction for Parasite I actually think is really good, because it is like shifting through radio stations of Bullet's career. I think that is quite smart, to be honest, for a band that is lacking intelligence. The fact that it plays Tears Don't Fall, you get a bit Awaken the Demon, you get a bit of Scream, Aim and Fire, you get a bit of Your Betrayal, and it goes through the discography of Bullet, showing all the history, flipping through the channels of Bullet. I think that's pretty cool. But then when the song actually starts, it is the typical cliche of Bullets, where you can predict exactly how it's going to be, because it's so basic that you can actually figure out what they're going to do. You get a heavy song by Bullet for My Valentine, where there is a lot of screaming and it's heavy and fast paced. What does Matt do in the introduction to these songs? He screams, usually, "Let's go," or "Here we go again," or he screams the title track, "Parasite," or he just does that. Every single track which is screamed or heavy, he will scream, "Let's go, here we go, let's go again, yippee, rah," or something, or just a title track. All the time, they have to scream start it, because it's edgy, it's cool, it's aggressive. He thinks it's cool. I'm cool, I'm edgy, I'm the edgelord. It is so ridiculous. Like, grow the fuck up. He tries so hard. And even looking at the titles of track, like, just listen to these titles. Parasite, Knives, My Reverie, No Happy Ever After, Can't Escape the Waves, Bastards, Rainbow Veins, Shatter, Paralyzed, Death by a Thousand Cuts. You can kind of tell which ones are screamed. Parasite, ooh, Parasite is a little creepy kind of insect, ugh. So he screams it. Knives, ooh, a knife, you can cut yourself with it. Ooh, that's Scream. My Reverie, yeah, that's sung a bit more. No Happy Ever After, Can't Escape the Ways, Bastards, ooh, a swear word, he's so edgy, oh my god, so cool, he swore. Ooh, clearly that has screaming in it. Shatter, ooh, Rainbow Veins, ooh, rainbows, it's so pretty, so he doesn't scream it, he sings it. Even the names of the bloody songs are so pathetic. Come on, guys. It's predictable, it's pathetic, the lyrics are stupid. And even just the songwriting in itself is dumb. It is just dumb. Parasite starts, he Scream introduces it, as I bloody mentioned. But the problem is, they can't even perform these songs. I've listened to 2 live versions of Parasite in 2 different shows. And you know what happens? Matt starts the verse screaming, because the majority of the song is screamed, and he goes, "La, la, la, and then he just stops because he loses his voice. Every time, twice, in 2 different shows, doing this song, he just goes, rah, 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 and then he stands there and just keeps playing, just, I'm just, you know, really cool. He's like, I didn't actually cut out, this is what I meant to do, yes. And then after a really cringy, very awkward part, the bass player takes over, who can actually do it better, and then eventually Matt comes in, and just before the chorus starts, every time, the 2 live shows, it's exactly the same. The word that is before the chorus is he has to scream Parasite, but it sounds like he is absolutely killing his voice. Instead of parasite, and it being really like deep and aggressive. It's just parasite. It's just, he can't do it. He can't scream. He loses his voice every time he tries it. It sounds crap when he actually can do it, because it just sounds like his voice is frying to shit. And the fact is, this album is mostly that. So the idea of the album is stuff that the singer can't do. He can't scream, and he also loses it if he tries to keep up with it. Therefore, the bass player is the one mostly doing it. So the entirety of the album, the point which is just, it's just got a shit ton of screaming and that's it, they can't actually do it. Wow! Well done, Bullet, for not having a fucking clue what you're capable of and being dumb as shit yet again. Well done, Bullet. And again, not having a clue that your problem is not the fact of the lack of screaming. I know your fans aren't helping, but it's the fact that your songwriting is crap, which I'm making abundantly clear here. You get into it, it's just screaming and screaming, and then the chorus, da, rah, 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 like, wowee. Yeah, the riffs sound bloody quick, but oh my god, so what? And there's a solo which is quick, wow. No versatility to the solos. Every solo that is in this album is just a little chunk of speed, and that is it. Just speed, there we go, speed, there we go, speed, there we go. Next solo, speed, there we go. So he can't do many things. There is no kind of sweep picking, there is no melodies, there is no rhythms, there is absolutely nothing. Just, you know, just do this little kind of passage and just kind of keep repeating it as quickly as possible, and then just move the fuck on. Because Bullet fans are too thick in order to figure out what the hell's happening, or the range of it, or the extent of it. There is one solo which kind of took me back, where I was like, actually that's not too bad. So there is small times where the solos actually aren't that bad, but overall it's just really short, just quick, and there is fuck all to it. It's just pointless. There is so many screaming, and the thing of saying, oh, Bullet's back, they're really, really heavy. Well, I bring you to songs like My Reverie or Rainbow Veins, so pretty, which the screaming stops. So what happens? If they are back to their metal and the songwriting is so much improved, then why the hell is the track My Reverie and Rainbow Veins sounding very poppy? The second the scream stop, which is what you say is all metal is, therefore without the screaming everything is automatically pop, which, oh my god, bands like Avenged Sevenfold and Iron Maiden and Metallica. Wow, Metallica's a pop band? I never knew, because they don't scream. This is the dumb idiocy of Bullet fans. Like, seriously, it makes your brain melt, the stupidity of them. So the second he stops screaming, it goes poppy. And that's not because, well, obviously it's because the screaming stops, so we are actually right, Screamo is metal. No, it's because the songwriting itself is pop. If you take the bloody screams away from the tracks that have them, what you're left with is a very, very empty, bland song. Because you don't get anything like Screaming Fire. Screaming Fire didn't have the screams. It didn't. The title track Screaming Fire didn't have it. Eye of the Storm did not really have any screams. Yet them tracks are great. Why is that? Because the songwriting's better. Rainbow Veins doesn't sound anything like that. Rainbow Veins is a bit melodic, so let's say it's like Say Goodnight off of Screaming Fire. Say Goodnight is a soft song, but it doesn't sound poppy because it's not. It's metal. It's good songwriting, and it works. The whole band work together. Rainbow Veins is just all poppy, quiet. Sounds girly. It's pathetic. The verse is there. You get your chorus. You pretty much got your song, and they still skip solos. So for the metal album that is so metal and it's so intense, you don't even get every track with a solo. I don't know why I should waste more time going on about it, because it's not worth it. The band is so pathetic. They're so try-hard. They seriously don't know what the hell they're doing or what metal is. And the fans just are eating this up, thinking it is vastly different from Gravity, but it isn't. The only thing that's changed is the fact that he screams, but we've already achieved it. You can't actually do that. And you don't have to scream to be metal. Scream and Fire, there wasn't a lot of screaming. And we've also achieved that the only difference from the musical standpoint is they play slightly faster. That's it. So to be great songwriters, you just have to play whatever, just as long as it's quick-paced. Again, that is idiotic beyond belief. You can have rhythm and melody, and it doesn't have to sound poppy. It can still sound metal and brilliant. Look at Dream Theater, for Christ's sake. Fucking morons. This is a 0. And I'm giving it a 0, even though it's not technically 0. If I had to be real, I would give it like a 3. It's still below bloody average, because my god, it's crap, and I'd never listen to it. If I did listen to it, I'd be a bit irritated. But it's not a full-blown 0. I'm giving it a 0 because of what has come before. Gravity, Venom, Temper, Fever, and this. And what Matt has said by the fact that he does all the writing himself and he boasts about it like it is a great achievement. No, it isn't. And he boasts about the songwriting process, which is crap. He keeps boasting about the fact that he has to find an angry, dark place in order to write metal, which is beyond stupid. The childish nature of the songwriting overall, which I've explained. The tracks, Parasite, Knives, my god. And everything always has to start. It's like they only know one thing, they can't do anything else because they don't have the brain capacity of it, which has been absolutely evident since Fever onwards, that they don't know how to write music. Which makes me super confused about the Poison and Scream and Fire. How the hell did they do that? I wouldn't be surprised if someone else actually wrote that for them. So it's 0. It's a pathetic band. And the fact that they're that bloody big and quite well known in the metal community, while there is other metal bands out there which have barely anything, struggling to survive, yet they put so much effort in. They have such an understanding of their instruments and their craft. They are such phenomenal songwriters, and they get nothing for that. And there's Bullet for My Valentine. It sickens me. It's disgusting. Bullet for My Valentine, at this point, I would say I really hope they just go back to what they know before, but I don't think they know it. I think they're completely clueless and lost now. So, I've given up. I don't bloody care. And I'm surprised they're still bloody going at this point. Fans get an ounce of common sense, this band is dead. I swear you not.